Hello, everyone, and then welcome to another session of the WAIMM Technical Webinar Series 2021. CIbE is a program that educates, shares a lot of knowledge about industry happenings and the challenges and how best we can solve them. As big corporations or companies, we are often faced by production and then operational challenges. The question is, how are we able as a team to come together, identify such problems, analyze the processes causing these problems, standardize them or provide optimal solutions to them, and also able to develop upon the challenges or problems to ensure that such things won't occur again. Today we are privileged to have James Lemaire, who is a continuous development coach from Continuous Development by Employees here in Ghana. James comes with a depth and wealth of experience spanning over 30 years. He's actually been my manager, a general manager at the Ghana Bauxite, Awaso. He's also worked as a continuous development coach and mining person at Rio Tinto surface mines in Australia. You're welcome again, like I said, and you can take it away.
Okay. Good afternoon, colleagues. It's a pleasure to be asked to present the webinar today. I chose this topic because I think it's one of the basic topics that we need in our industry with regards to how to improve whatever we are doing. By the way, I'm a continuous improvement specialist, not continuous development specialist. So I'm a black belt in Six Sigma. The company is Continuous Improvement by Employees. Most of you know me already. I've been to a few of the mines already. So yeah. So today we are going to look at a typical Kaizen session. A typical Kaizen session is a 5-day session. So I'll take you through that, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5. It doesn't mean that you cannot do a Kaizen session in 1 day or 2 days, but the average typical is 5 days. What is Kaizen? First we need to define what is Kaizen. I think we've all heard the word Kaizen all over the place. I will try to provide a definition that will resonate to most of us. Of course, if you have any input, please stop me and do that. This is knowledge sharing, not so much of me giving a classroom lecture, okay? Right. So Kaizen is broken down into 2 words, 2 sections, Kai and then Zen. Kai means the process of continuous improvement through a series of small actions. The emphasis here is on small actions rather than large sweeping gestures. Small actions. I will explain why the emphasis is on small actions. So we are looking at like baseball, the picture you see there. We want small hits, okay? Not a big home run win, then you score 10 points. It doesn't mean that if you're able to score 10 points in a goal, no, we will refuse it. That is not the point. But the focus is on small actions. We usually give this analogy to explain why Kaizen focuses on small actions. The picture you see here is Mount Everest. We all know Mount Everest is almost 9 kilometers. okay, height. In a normal situation, you'll be able to walk 9 kilometers a day, no hustle. The average person will be able to walk 9 kilometers a day. But if you try to do the 9-kilometer climbing of Mount Everest in a day, or even at a go, be it whatever, you'll not get there. You know, people have tried it, they haven't succeeded. Okay, so the strategy is you do some walk, some distance, you build a base camp, you acclimatize, you adjust, you relax, you regain your strength, you do another walk up, you build a base camp, you acclimatize, you adjust, you build another one, like that, gradually till you're able to reach the summit of the mountain. Okay, so we say that the journey is more important than the destination. How you make the journey. If you really want to reach there, if you really want to sustain your improvement, you want to focus on small actions, bit by bit. You make improvement, you sustain it, you make improvement, you sustain it, you make improvement. So that when you slide, for some reason, something goes wrong, you slide, you don't slide from the top to the bottom straight away. It means you slide from here to the next level, which is not a big deal. Then you can rise up, dust yourself, and go it again. So that is the Kai. What is the Zen? Zen says keeping an open-minded attitude, making suggestions rather than raising obstacles. So in continuous improvement is one of the basic principles in continuous improvement, be it a Kaizen or Green Belt Demerge project or whatever. You need an open mind. Go there with an open mind, okay? So that is the meaning of Kaizen. A small improvement step by step and having an open mind attitude that something can be improved. Everything can be improved. So that is Kaizen. Now, so when do we run a Kaizen session? I have hazarded some points here for us to consider. When an obvious source of instability and waste have been identified, that's when there's a clear mandate. Okay, you know where you are focusing is, you know where your challenge is, you know where your pain is, okay? Then you can focus on that and say, let's do a Kaizen to deal with this issue. When there's a clear mandate, a clear source of waste or instability. When the results are needed immediately, okay, Kaizen is an action-packed, quick results sort of strategy. You don't spend weeks and months analyzing data when it comes to Kaizen session. Kaizen is, you think, you do, you check, you act, you think, you do, check, act, okay? In the middle of a project, typically after the measure phase, if you want to accelerate it, you want to gain momentum, you want to build confidence, you want to build credibility. Usually, Six Sigma has a process. You define, you measure, you analyze, you improve, you sustain. It takes some time to define the project. It takes some time to measure. It takes some time to do the analysis. It is not all the time that the business has the patience to wait for all these long analysis to take place for them to get the results. In some instances, they need the results now, okay? And you guys, you know what I mean by you need the results now, because time is money. So when you have a situation like that, Kaizen is a very good approach, to deal with it, to get immediate results. When the scope and boundaries of a problem are clearly defined and understood. When I talk about the scope, talking about one why, for example, so we are dealing with, let's say, availability of a dump truck. Okay, we are dealing with a breakdown of an excavator. We are dealing with improving the load on a belt. That is one Y. The three S's are a rough idea. What are the factors that will contribute to the Y? You know, in maths, in physics, we write Y is equal to Fx plus Fx plus Fx, whatever. So the Fy is a 1Y definite, clear mandate, clear scope. The X's are the factors that will influence the Y, whether they are multiplication factors or division factors or functional factors, whatever, that will influence the Y. When it is clearly scoped out, it's a good strategy to use Kaizen. When implementation risk is minimal, okay, because you don't spend too much time doing analysis in Kaizen, we want to use Kaizen for situations when the risk is small, okay? So you don't take a very big risky project. Let's say you are doing a 1 week Kaizen to find a solution. You'll be putting the business at risk. So we don't recommend that. We want situations where the risk is minimal. So these are the 5 areas where factors that influence the choice of a Kaizen or the choice of any other continuous improvement strategy. Now we need a team to do the Kaizen. So the composition of the team is as follows. You need a leader, of course. Every team has a leader. And the leader is usually a belt, lean expert, be a green belt or a black belt, or any other type of lean expert. Sometimes you need a coach. You need a coach, external coach, depending on the experience and capability of the belt that you have. If it's very experienced in Kaizen session, sure, go ahead and do it. Otherwise, get a coach to support. You need a co-leader. The co-leader is usually the process owner, somebody who owns the problem, somebody who is experiencing the pain in his department, somebody who is accountable for the results. You know, that person is the process owner and is a co-leader. After that, you need to put together about 6 to 9 people. Most of these 6 or 9 people will be people who are coming from the impacted area where the problem is. And we recommend that you pick people from more than 1 shift, okay? So that it spreads across the whole spectrum of the employees in that area. You need 1 or 2 support staff, like engineering, maintenance, procurement. Sometimes you need something done immediately. And if you have somebody in engineering, you can organize to have it done immediately. You need something bought or something picked from the stores. If you have somebody from procurement, you can give that person the task without going through the long and windy processes, and you will get it done. You need 1 external function out of the box. Somebody who has no idea of the problem. Somebody who has no idea of the area where the problem is. Okay, and usually, like, you pick somebody from account, HR, you know, yeah, somebody who has no idea. We want somebody who will bring out of the box idea. I mean, in the normal situation, we say a stupid idea, but that is what we want. Somebody who has no knowledge of that area at all to be in the team. You may also consider a customer of the process. You may also consider a supplier of some of the parts or the equipment that is giving a problem. You may also consider a member from a similar plant within the same company from another area. there are few advantages there. You may bring ideas from the other side. You may also pick ideas from what the Kaizen session and takes you to the other side. You know, that is the whole group benefiting from the Kaizen session. So that is a team. In a typical Kaizen session that I ran, I said in my brief that I'll use a case study going through this session. So a typical Kaizen session made up of 9 people. You had a coach, I had a coach, which was a master black belt. I was the leader, okay? Then the other members were made up of, you see, dozer operator, 3 dozer operators, because we thought the problem was in the dozer operator area. Mining engineer, a control room operator, a crew leader, and remember, out of the box, somebody, okay? So, and these people must all be full-time. If I say full-time, I mean the 5 days, they wake up in the morning, they're on that project, and up to the time they go to bed. It is not that they come to work, they have to go to their session and do certain things before coming to the team. It doesn't work like that. Okay, you want full-time team members. Please, as I go along, if you have any question, raise it, okay? So day one, we start with the sponsor coming to give the mandate to the team and the target. So in this particular one example that I'm giving, the mandate was, the sponsor came and said he wants to put a maximum load on the conveyor belt, okay, to remove surges while considering the safety of live vehicles. You know, normally when you are feeding conveyor belt, you get surges, okay? Overload, underload, depends on how the chute discharging on the conveyor belt is performing. Safety of live vehicles, because some live vehicles sometimes drive under the conveyor belts in the work area. So you don't want a situation where you overload the belt will be spilling, a vehicle will be driving underneath it and then fine. You understand what I mean? So the target you gave us was 4,500 tons per hour. The belt at that time was doing about 4,200 tons per hour. And it is a ship loading conveyor belt, okay? And the capacity of the belt itself was about 5,500 tons per hour. So at some stage, the belt was underperforming. And so we wanted to improve it from 2,000 to 4,200 to 4,500. You may ask, why not from 4,200 to the maximum design capacity of the belt? Okay, and that is what I talked about, Kaizen being small hits. Small hits, you go step by step. You don't do a large, improvement. And when you are in trouble, then you are in big trouble. So we were given that mandate to move from 4,200 to 4,500. So when we were given the mandate, we turn back to the team that we have assembled. How do you understand the mandate? Okay, we want all the members of the team to understand the task that we have been given. The task is not given to only the leader or the belt. No, the task is given to the whole team. So we want to make sure that the team understands what the mandate is. So you go to a whiteboard or you pick a post-it note and get a feedback from the team members. How do you understand the mandate? So they give their various feedback just to make sure that we are all on the same page. If there is a little bit of misunderstanding, we clear it. It's very, very important. Then having got a mandate, the next thing is that you train the team. You, the belt, being the leader, of course, you have been trained in Kaizen, okay? The rest of the team members don't know what Kaizen is, or maybe they've heard of it. So to be able to work together as a team, you need to train them. Do a summary training, a quick training of the Kaizen, as what it is, the principles, the rules of the game, and the plan for the rest of the week. So I will take you through the Kaizen principles. The Kaizen principles, if you look on your left-hand side, you've got the crosses, the ones that we don't want. We don't want the team to have a mindset of the status quo, that is, sanity, no. We want the team to have an open mind and be digging for solutions, looking for different things. Okay, so instead of the status quo, we want it to replace with dig for good new ideas. Paradigm, you've tuned your mind, no. Ask questions, why it is so, why this is that, why that is that. We don't want you to be bogged down with too many analyses, piling up, searching for too much data to understand too many things. No, you have only 1 week to produce results. So we are saying that don't be paralyzed by analysis, just do it, okay? You don't have excuses. We are not here to look for excuses. Why I came to the session late. We are here to look for solutions. Nobody is a champion. The team is a team, it's one team. No individual in the team becomes a champion. The leader doesn't become the champion, neither does the co-leader become the champion or any member of the team. We win as a team, so the champion is the whole team. And like I said before, we are not looking for home runs, big improvement. We are looking for small hits. Small hits so that everybody, I mean, when you introduce this to the workers at large or the shop floor, even picking a bolt or a knot which is lying at the wrong place and putting it at the right place is a small hit, it's a small improvement. So that is what we want, so that no improvement is too small. What are the rules of the game? Be open to change and stay positive. That's the first one. And that's the definition of the Zen, open-minded, okay? Everyone pulls on the rope. When we are a team, nobody is the champion of the team or nobody is the survivor of the team, as you see this gentleman standing here, watching, giving instructions. No, we are all in the team, we all put together, okay? We are looking for simple, quick, and cheap solutions, not the big ones that require capital injection, okay? We want simple, cheap solutions. Preferably, the solution that do not require even any investment at all, then you can just go and do it. Among the team, within the team, we must have mutual respect, okay? There is no laborer, there's no manager, there's no subtenant, there's no somebody who has been in the mine for 30 years, or there's no national service person. Treat others as you want to be treated. So usually when I'm running Kaizen sessions, I don't like having the managers in the team. I don't even like having the subtenants in the team. The reason is that when a manager says something in the team, the rest of the team more or less takes it, okay, because he's the manager. When a subtenant says something in the team or brings an idea, the rest of the team almost immediately will take it because he's their boss. You know, they wouldn't want to give a counter suggestion somehow. You know, so I like it works best when you don't have the managers in the team. Believe me. Never leave any disagreement unspoken. Okay. In the course of running the Kaizen session, if anybody doesn't understand anything, don't say, wait, when we finish this, when we finish the Kaizen, we come and explain to you. No, we have to stop. We have to explain to the person. At worst, let's come to a compromise. Okay, at worst, let's come to a compromise, but don't let us ignore anybody. Okay, and we all have a consensus going forward. And it's very important that in running a Kaizen session, you enjoy it. You know, have fun, you enjoy it. It's not a tedious work at all. You will enjoy it. And understand the process and just do it, as I've just said earlier. So having done that, day one, having trained the people, so basically, you see that the first half of the day we will spend in the first few sessions that I've taken you through up to the rules of the game. You normally want to break for lunch and come back in the afternoon for the next session. Oh no, And the next session, typically, still the day one, you want to go and see what the problem is yourself, physically, with your own eyes, possibly touch it. It's not enough for somebody to describe the problem for you, okay? Go there and look at it and describe it. The picture you see here is a stockpile, a ship loading stockpile, where you have an stacker, radial stacker. There are two stackers, okay? Stacking bauxite and on both sides of the stockpile. These heaps you see are different grades bauxite, okay, not the same grades. Sometimes the heap, the stockpile becomes so full that it's very difficult to distinguish between the various heaps. I mean, they're all lumped together. But on record, we still know the first, for example, 50 feet or 30 meters, what is the grade of the bauxite? The next 30, 20, what is the grade roughly? So that when you are loading the ship, you are loading the ship to the bauxite to the customer have a specification. And you want to mix up these different stockpiles to be able to meet the specification, okay, in loading. So it is not just enough to focus on one stockpile and load. Otherwise, it will become easier. The complexity is in loading different stockpiles at different times to mix and get the right load on the ship. So underneath this stockpile, there is a tunnel where we have the reclaim conveyor and the reclaim chutes. So the bauxite, you open the chute and it gravitates onto the conveyor. So as you can see here, the chute have been opened, gravitates onto a conveyor, so you can see the hole. This one the hole is developing, okay? This one, they finish loading the hole and they are putting fresh one on top of it, you see? So the problem is you want to put maximum load on the conveyor belt, okay? So the complexity initially, we thought that it was to do with how the dozer will push when let's say the chute is empty, how the dozer will push the rest into the chute, okay? So our focus was there. Let's say my focus as a leader was there. But eventually you see that there were better ideas that came out of the Kaizen, okay? So initially, I compiled some data before I started the two session. I went through the data bank and compiled some data to get an idea what are the downtimes in that section. And from this Pareto chart, you can see that the hatch change was a major downtime. That is when one chute is empty, you need to close it and open another chute. Open and close because the hatch, yeah. If you are not attentive, it will remain empty for a long time and you'll be having empty conveyor belt running, okay? So that was one of the major downtimes. The other one was a dozer not pushing enough into the conveyor belt, So, but really, in some Kaizen sessions, you may not have the time to go and dig so much data, or you may not even have the data available for you to go and dig and do some analysis. That is why we are saying that don't be bogged down with analysis. If you have this and it's handy, it helps a lot. Okay, definitely use it. But otherwise, don't be bogged down and say there's no data, so you are going to spend a week compiling data. No. So what do you do next? Now, having visited the site and having got benefit of some data to know what is happening, you want to find out what are the root causes of the conveyor not loading 4,500. Okay, you want to find the root causes of that. And you do some brainstorming to find your solutions. So in this particular one, you can see that because we have some data to back us, we're able to identify some causal factors using the fishbone diagram. I'm sure most of you know the fishbone diagram. This is what's called the fishbone diagram. It's one of the tools you use in continuous improvement. Unfortunately, if you don't know about it, this session will not be able to take you through that. Maybe you can ask for it in another session. So I assume that you all know what a fishbone diagram is and how to use it. So we use a fishbone diagram. One of the best ways of using the fishbone diagram, or if you're not using the fishbone diagram, during the normal brainstorming session, is to use poster notes. Okay, why poster notes? You may say that some of our employees don't know how to write. Yes, if they don't know how to write, maybe you pair them with somebody who will be able to put the ideas on paper. But from experience, poster notes is the best form of collecting ideas from a team. Why? Let everybody write what they think is a causal factor. Let everybody write as many, without calling it out. Because when you call it out, somebody knows that this person has said this. But in the midst of anonymity, people are freer to write what they think are the causes of the problems. Okay, I can tell you this from experience. People are freer and they write a lot. So you let them write as many as possible and write one causal factor on one poster notes. Okay, so that when you collect them, you can put them on the fishbone diagram and see what are the areas that majority of the causals are coming from, or what are the areas that has not been considered. So in using this particular case where we ask them to, we give them poster notes for them to write what they thought were the causes of the issue, they wrote a lot, okay? And this is a list of the things that they wrote, as much as 41. Even though some of them are duplicates, so we cross them out eventually. But you can see lots of ideas as to what is happening on the shop floor. Okay. So having got this, certainly you are not going to go through all these 41 ideas and implement them. No. You want to sort them out. Okay. So we sort them out into what we call the priority ones. And how do we sort them out? One of the simple techniques that we can use in Kaizen is what we call the voting, like democratic voting. Okay, voting. Before the voting, you want to go through the list to make sure that those that are duplicated are crossed out. Okay, and then you want to also get the guys to identify the ones that are trivial or the ones that are major. You can go straight to voting. In our case, we went through the poster notes again. For people, we numbered all these items and asked everybody to choose 5. Okay, so they will choose 5 of these and then you see what are the major ones. So, and out of that also, you follow up with the voting. What you see here is actually the voting, okay? We ask them to vote after choosing only the 26 of the lot that they've written. We ask them to vote. Everybody is given 5 points, 10 points. Distribute your 10 points on those ones that you think are the big hitters. So somebody, you can see here, somebody has given 4 dots, 4 red dots, you know, in this area. So for that person, this place deserves 4 points. This place deserves 2 points. He's got 1 point here, 1 point here, and one here to make it 10. And that is open, okay? After you've done that, then you count and put the numbers there. So when you counted, this one got 9 points, this one got 7, this one got 5, this one got 9, this one got 7, this one got 9, this one got 5, etc., etc., etc. So this is what you see here, okay? So right now, we listed 8 key ones. We prioritized by voting, and you can see that this one stands out as the major one that everybody thinks we need to work on. This one is the second one, this one is the third one, and followed by the rest. Again, in a 5-day Kaizen session, you may or may not be able to do all these, okay? Depends on how easy or difficult each of these solutions are. So you want to come up with potential actions that need to be implemented based on each of them. Having come up with actions, again, these are all ideas that will come from the team, okay? You are still in day 2. You want to prioritize your actions. Again, like I said, you may not be able to implement all the actions. Some of the actions requires a lot of effort that will yield small benefits. So that is the red section of this graph. In this graph, you have the benefits on this y-axis, and x-axis is the effort, the amount of effort you need to put in to get a benefit. In this green area, you can see that with a little bit of effort, you can get maximum benefits, high benefit, medium, low benefit. Okay, so you can plot all the effort that is required and the potential benefit that you can envisage into a graph like this, and you can see that maybe one will be here, one will be there, one will be there, one will be there, and then it shows clearly that the one that is here, don't bother too much about it for now. The one that is here is must do. The one that is here, basically it requires very small effort and small benefit. That's usually what we call the quick hits, okay? You can just go and, let's say, change something straight away and you get some action. Even though the benefit is small, the effort was also small. You know, you don't need to do much. So just sit straight to go and do it. So you plot your actions on these for you to highlight the ones that will give you the best back for your effort. Having done that and come up with the actions that you want to implement, of course, you've got to plan it. You've got to plan your implementation strategy. You've got to assess the risk of each of the actions. In the first slide, I said Kaizen goes for solutions that require minimal risk. Yes, minimal risk, but you still have to assess the risk to make sure that it's under control, okay? So these are examples of, in my case, the action plans that we put in place and the risk assessment that we did for the final actions that we needed to implement. Okay, you need to do all these because you are going to do a gate review, day 3. If you are able to do all these quite fast in day 2, you can do your gate review in day 2. What is a gate review? A gate review is that you have assessed the situation, you have brainstormed, you have come up with potential solutions that you want to implement, you have assessed the risk of the action to be implemented. You need approval. Guys, you need approval. Your sponsor has to come and give you approval to go ahead and implement the actions. Okay? The fact that you've been given a mandate to implement a Kaizen session doesn't mean that you put the risk of the company in your hands. Somebody has to take that accountability. So the sponsor has to come and give you approval. So you do a gate review to brief your sponsor what problems you've identified, what solutions you've come up with, what are the plans that you are going to use to implement the solutions. You've assessed the risk, so you brief your sponsor the risk that you've assessed. At the end of the day, the sponsor should say, I'm comfortable with what I've heard. I believe you guys, so go and do it. Or I'm not comfortable, I can't allow you to go and risk production with these, your actions. So no, go back to the drawing board. I don't like your actions, or I don't like your implementation strategy, or the risk is too high, okay, for you to go and do that. So either go back and find mitigating measures to reduce the risk, or go back and find better actions that has a minimal risk. So you need to do all this gate review. So you need all these material, put together in the presentation to be able to convince your sponsor that what you set out to do or where you are ready to go and implement action. So that is day 3. So this stage is at the beginning of day 3. First thing in the morning of day 3, 8 a.m. Or 7 a.m., you call your sponsor and say, this is it, give us the go ahead. So you get a go ahead, and then from there is implementation. So you go and implement. Okay, you go. You have the day 3, day 4, and part of day 5 if you are stretched to do implementation. And we're saying that at least 80% of the actions must be implemented. Okay, for you to say that you are done with the Kaizen. These are some of the control plans that you need to put in place. Okay, when you have tried the solutions and they have worked, you need to communicate to the rest of the crew, the rest of the employees who are working in that area. So there is something we call a single point lesson. It is a short instructions with pictures that you put together to put on the notice board or to put in the area where the change is effected, so that people who come in there will see the new way of doing things. Okay, it is not long. This is one of the SPLs that we did. Some of the SPLs, you want it with a lot more pictures than what I have here, because pictures are able to communicate better. We didn't have much pictures here because we had very short period of time to do this quickly, okay, within the 4 or 5 days, to have this there for the people coming on the next shift to see the new change that has been done. Okay, so you need to do so we decided to do SPL for 2 shoots loading. One of the solutions was to use 2 shoots loading concurrently, and therefore we had to do SPL for 2 shoots loading. One of them was for the shoot status, whether the shoot is empty How can you identify that the chute is empty or not? Process chute map for chute maintenance. If a chute is broken, what route do you go through to get the maintenance guys informed, maintained, communicated that this chute is in good order, so can be used. So you do all these within the 4 days. Normally, what you do is that you assign one SPL to one person, okay, to go out, give them 3-4 hours to go and put this together. And sometimes you need to do this in the night. When you've assigned an SPL to somebody, of course, the due date is the next morning. So if you haven't done it, you don't sleep. And you don't come back in the morning to give an excuse that you haven't finished. Mind you, the rules in Kaizen is that no excuses, it's solutions. So if it means you have to burn the midnight candle to get your SPL done by morning, you do it and you present the solution in the morning. Okay. So having done all these SPL, it means you have done the implementation, they have worked. Sometimes you do the implementation, they don't work straight away. You may have to go back and tweak it. And that is why you have day 3, day 4, and the beginning of day 5. If you leave the implementation to last minute and it doesn't go as planned, you have no time to tweak it. And you don't want excuses at your final presentation. Okay, so you want to give yourself time, start implementation early for you to give room to tweak the implementation, tweak your single point lesson to make sure that it's right. Day 5, after you are comfortable that it's done, usually, let's say Friday afternoon, late afternoon, when everything has gone well, you have to do a final presentation to your sponsor. Basically, you call the sponsor and you present the results. Okay? Present the result and evidence to show that you've achieved the results. In our case, in that particular case, we did not achieve the 4,500 within the 5 days. We were just about 4,400. Okay? But there has been improvement. Okay? There has been improvement. And given time for the improvement actions to be embedded, we knew that we were going to hit the 4,005 and even beyond. But you don't have the luxury to wait for 2-3 weeks to get a final result. You have to present the result as you have got it at the end of the day 5 to your sponsor. Okay? And then you have to do a follow-up process. Follow-up process means you've got to write the procedure that needs to be followed. Some are the single point lessons. Some are change management processes that you need to put in place to make sure that whatever you have achieved and implemented can be sustained for the next 50 years. Of course, unless somebody else comes to improve it. Okay, so you need to put all those in place. And last but not the least, you need to celebrate your success. Even though we did not achieve the 4,500, we still celebrated the achievement that we had made from 2000 to 2004. Sorry, from 4,200 to 4,400. That made a huge difference in the ship loading process. Okay, the difference was that when the 80,000 ship comes to the jetty, you have to load that ship within 20 hours for the ship to turn around during the high tide. If you miss that window, it means the ship has to stay on for another high tide. That is another day. And you've lost the time that the ship stays there, you pay demurrage. You all know what demurrage is. The ship sitting there, you pay for the charge. Okay, so every improvement that you made is important. The 4,400 was able to load the ship within the 20 hours. Of course, you are cutting it too fine. You know, if you get some breakdowns, you miss the loading window. So that is why we want to continue to improve it. But we achieved success and we celebrated it. Okay. I put in there, if there is time for me to talk about it. These are a Kaizen run chart that you use, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, to make sure that you are on course. These represent individual actions that you need to take in the course of the Kaizen session. Day 1, you want to make sure that you are 75% in this action. Definition of mandate, people understand it clear, and other actions you need to, you can see that as you get towards day 5, most of the actions have been closed, except this one, for example, which was. So in that case, 98% of the actions were closed, so just to keep you on track, but it's not critical. So the slide you see here is just a summary of the processes that I've taken you through, the 5-day Kaizen process sessions. The area discovery, the value stream map, where you brainstorm ideas, the causal factors, you get your implemented the idea to identify the problems and solutions. You do the prioritization to find out which of the actions will give you the best back for your money. You do a gate review, and then you plan your actions, you assess the risk, implement your actions, you put in control plans, and the follow-up process. And of course, you celebrate success. Very, very important. In the middle here, you see what we call the quick win. Quick win is probably at the first day when you go to the site to look at how the area works, somebody can come up with a suggestion. Why don't you do this? And it could probably be a suggestion that could be implemented straight away. Please do it. Okay, and of course, you've got to assess the risk to make sure that it's not a major risk action that will cause problems. So, you implement a quick win. You call it a quick win. At any stage of the process, something to be done quickly, just go out there and do it. So, colleagues, this is just a summary of a 5-day Kaizen event. Aside the case study that I've taken you through, I want to give you one example that happened in Awasu plant. This is a very, very simple, you won't believe this. When Awasu, of course, this happened when I wasn't in Awasu, so I wasn't involved in this project, okay? But that was when they wanted to introduce the continuous improvement philosophy or the Kaizen philosophy in Awasu at first. This is a chute that you open the gate to adjust the feed to the conveyor belt, the mainland conveyor belt from the top of the mountain down the washing plant. Now, the company wanted to increase production. And as far as they were concerned, they have reached their limit, cannot increase it anymore. So, and in Kaizen, we're saying that don't close your mind that you can't increase it anymore, you've reached your limit. They thought they've reached their limit because you can't open this gate anymore. Okay, this ratchet is reached this maximum, you can't open it. So in the course of doing the Kaizen exercise, they went to the field, to the crusher plant. And somebody said, if you remove this bar that you can see my cursor here, you'll be able to lift the gate up a little bit more. After all, the gear extends down here. So why do you stop it here? So let's remove this and let's see what happens. Voila, that's all. So they removed it and you could open the gate even beyond what you wanted. Okay, and that was the solution to increase production, just that. And it took a consultant to come from Canada to lead this Kaizen project for a shop floor guy to raise this issue. It was removed, and voila. So this incident became one of the big topics in ACAN at that time, and it appeared in all their ACAN training sessions, continuous improvement training session. When I was doing my black belt training, this example was one of the examples that were given. I sat there and I raised my hand that was, it was something. So you can see that it's just ABC, call it that way, solution, and it did a big trick for the company. Some other improvement areas where you can use Kaizen is when you want to do 5S. Last time, somebody gave a presentation on 5S, okay? You put a team of people together, you give them an area to do a 5S, give them 2, 3, 4 days, depending on the size of the area, and you expect that it should be done at the end of the period. A typical example here, it says, when your availability of equipment is less than 90%, that is a Kaizen zone, okay? Put a group of people together and said, I want the availability of this equipment to improve beyond 90%. And believe me, there is something they can do. That is cheap, that will be quick, that will be hands-on, and the idea will come from a place that you don't believe, you don't expect. This is one of my favorite examples, Formula 1. When you come to a pit stop, how long does it take to change the 4 tires and refuel the truck, refuel the car? It has reduced from whatever to about, what's the last one I checked? 8 or 10 seconds, a pit stop. And they want to continue to improve it. It is teamwork, okay? Teamwork. So my last slide is, it's better to have one imbecile who is walking than to have 10 intellectuals who are sitting down. That is to say, let's get everybody involved in doing continuous improvement, small change at a time, instead of getting intellectuals who think that they have to analyze and do a big hit. The big hit may not happen. And this is a Chinese proverb.